Favata had an interest in drawing since he was a child. His artistic talents led him to a position in the U.S. Army's art department during World War II. His formal career in animation began in 1951 when he was discovered by Dave Hilberman at Tempo Productions, a leading animation studio in New York City. Favata continued to build his own reputation, working with many other studios throughout the years, including Terrytoons, Academy, UPA, Dancer Fitzgerald, and Romper Room, among others. Many of the characters he worked on, such as Sugar Bear, Granny Goodwitch, Billy Joe Jive, Charmkins, The Huggles, Baxter the Clown, and My Little Pony, are not only familiar to the baby boomers of the time, but also have a following to this day. Later in his career, Favata joined Jumbo Productions, where he worked on a new character named Doug, created by Jim Jenkins. Favata eventually worked with Disney when Jumbo became a Disney product. Favata has worked with such legendary figures as Bill Teitla, John Hubley, Bob Beckman, Gene Deitch, Grim Natwick, Bernie Fuchs, Ted and John Shearer, Jack Sidebotham, Jules Pfeiffer, Pablo Ferro, Tommy Ungerer, Joe Bologna, Bob and Ray, Paul Kim, Tom Yohe, and Frank Zappa.
My parents came over in, I guess it was 1920, so my brother and sister were born in Sicily, and my next eldest brother was born here with me in the States. We lived on the east side in Manhattan. We lived on 90th Street for a long period of time. 90th between 2nd and 1st Avenues. And from there I used to go to all the schools in the city. Like Texel High School was crosstown, so I had to take a subway to get to school, and that was quite a doing. I used to have my arms full of books, and you'd get on these crowded, first of all I'd have to walk from our house to the subway station, which was about maybe 5 blocks, and they were long blocks, you know, and you'd have to trudge during the winter when it was snowing. You'd have to lug these books to the subway station. And then when you got on the subway, they were jammed with people, I mean, going to work. And in those days, they didn't disallow smoking. So you could smoke in the subway car, actually. And I remember many times I'd be stuck next to a guy smoking a big fat cigar, which wasn't to my liking. And I really be a captive for how many stations before the guy got off. But at any rate, that was going to school was taking the subway and traveling across town, and you'd have 3 changes of trains to get to school, carrying all these books. Well, I grew up during the Depression, so things were pretty bleak then, and my father, being an immigrant, didn't get much opportunity to do what he could do. He took whatever jobs were available, and he had all sorts of jobs. Worked on the railroad. For most of my childhood, I remember him working at Bloomingdale's, down on 59th Street, and he worked running a freight elevator. So he would come home with all kinds of things from the store that they had discarded, including one time a piano.
A whole piano?
A whole piano.
And he had people.
I don't know why they, because he couldn't afford it.
That was Joe.
And so
It was Joe.
the piano was delivered to the house. And in those days, we were on the third floor of this tenement. So to get this piano up into our apartment, it had to be hoisted up from the street, and through the window, the front window. And that kind of an event, the whole block was out there observing this, thing happening, this piano being wedged into the window and pulled through. And so we had all these things that he brought home from work, and it's wonderful, it was like magic to get a piano at home that you could, there was no television, so the piano was a focus, and my sister became very good, proficient at playing the piano. I loved the piano because it was a player piano, and you could put rolls of music into it that you would then pedal as the rolls went round. And the music that you would get in it were operas. You could get popular music and operas, all sorts of music. And so it was, you would spend hours pedaling away and singing at the top of your lungs to some pop song at the time.